Hello and welcome, my name's Red, and we've got a little bit of a different video today. This year I signed up for my second Rockin Rollin Prints event. I decided that I wanted to document the process this time for anybody that's curious about participating in an event like this, and also to show you guys kind of what's involved in the whole process for this type of event. A little bit about the show. It is basically a large-scale printmaking show. 50 or so artists submit boards to be printed by steamroller. Alright, so first some specs. So the board that they require is MDF. It's sold in 4-foot by 8-foot sheets at Home Depot, but they will cut it down to the required size, which is 3-foot by 5-foot. As far as tools go, I'm using a knockoff Dremel. Traditional wood carving tools don't really work so great on MDF. It ends up taking out chunks rather than like clean lines, and honestly, working at that scale would probably be really exhausting. As far as the printing goes, the paper and pressure are supplied by the event. All I have to do is bring the board. So let's talk a little bit about the prep work that goes into coming up with your design. I made my initial sketches in my sketchbook. I tried out several ideas before deciding on the one that I chose. The theme this year was perfect days, and I ended up settling on this one here. I thought that it most encapsulated kind of what I wanted to go for, and also like my definition of a perfect day. I took a lot of notes, worked on composition, made some like final decision, and ended up landing here. I did a lot of like thumbnail sketches to kind of work out how certain areas would look, and took some like notes. I even have like these little clear sticky notes that I made notes on. From there, I took a picture of my sketchbook, of my sketch, and imported it into Procreate. So here's the picture of my sketch. From there, I drew over it in pink, kind of refining some of the details, adjusting some of the composition and things like that. And then I changed my background over to black so that I could draw over it in white. And I'll show you what that looks like. This kind of simulates the carving process and helps me decide where the highlights are going to be and how much wood to carve out. So from this sketch, I took this onto a projector and projected it onto my board. For the drawing, I wasn't really trying to get every single line. I was really mostly focused on getting the general layout and also just kind of drawing out or tracing out the tricky areas that I wanted to be very like precise. I did some additional sketching just with my pencil. I wanted to kind of mark the areas that would remain black so that I'd remember not to carve into those areas. From there, I was pretty much ready to carve. The carving process is pretty interesting. It's a lot like drawing, except that you're very focused on highlights. You're working a bit backwards. I broke up the board into several sections: the background, the water, the dock, and then my sun. I started with the most like organic parts first, the trees and the water, so that I wouldn't be stressed out over like perfect lines and things like that as I was getting a feel for my tool. It still was a challenge though to think about how the scene was layered and going kind of back and forth between those layers, especially kind of along that fence line. I moved on to the more precise areas, working really slowly and intentionally because you can't uncarve something that you've carved, so you really have to be careful not to make mistakes. I think that the hair was probably the most satisfying part, and the face was probably the most challenging. It's really hard to create softness and volume in just black and white, and especially using such an imprecise tool. Once everything was carved, it was time to seal the board using equal parts shellac and denatured alcohol. It's wild to condense what took several days of work into a couple of minutes of video, but stay tuned for the final reveal. In part two, I will transport the board to the event, kind of give you guys a look at the event itself. We'll watch it be printed together, and I'll share my thoughts on the final print. So if you haven't already, subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you'll know when I upload part two. I'm so excited to share the rest of the process with you guys. Wish me luck down in the comments, and I will catch you guys on part two.